Hey guys, this is Justin at the Survivor Review, and today we'll be talking about the new documentary film, Apollo 11. Now this movie takes an historic landmark event, the 1969 moon landing, something that's so well known and widely documented, and presents it in such a unique and fresh way that was just incredible. I love this movie. I thought it was fantastic. Now, what makes this one stand out from other documentaries is that the filmmakers had access to this rare, never before seen footage that was shot in 70mm. That, when cleaned up and everything, looks incredible. This footage looks like it was shot today. That's how good it looks. That's how clear it is. That's how much detail there is. It's insane how good this footage looks. I had to constantly remind myself while watching it, this footage is 50 years old because it doesn't look like it at all. And that's just insane. And a lot of that beautiful footage comes right in the beginning of the movie, because the movie opens the morning of the liftoff. And then you follow the astronauts on the space shuttle and you follow their 9-day mission to the moon and back. That's basically the narrative of the film. And the way the movie opens, I love it. Where you see Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin preparing and everything, and you see a lot of footage of people just gathering around and watching the event, this a landmark event. And that footage I thought was so great, just seeing the people's reactions, seeing the hundreds of people gathering for this event. It was just crazy to see, and I loved all of that. And one of the best things about this movie is the way it's done. It's not done in a traditional documentary. It's very similar to They Shall Not Grow Old, in that there is no interviews with people talking about it. Isn't constantly cut away to people being interviewed being oh, when we did that, it was very dangerous, No, the movie consists of audio and visuals from the events. All the audio in the movie comes mainly from the control room. That's most of the audio. It's all the people in the control room. And then, of course, a lot of the audio from the astronauts, and then audio from news reports from the time.
The enormity of this event is something that only history will be able to judge.
And that's how the story is told, which I love that. I think that's one of the reasons why They Shall Not Grow Old works so well, is that by doing that, and not, like I said, constantly kind of people being when we did that, that was crazy, it just immerses you in the event even more. The movie is so immersive because it consists of all of just footage and stuff from that time. There is some diagrams that they did. They kind of added in. They kind of describe to you how the space shuttle worked, when stuff would detach from it, and kind of stuff like that. So there's diagrams and that kind of stuff. But it all consists of is stuff from that era, and it's so engaging. My God, this is a cinematic event. And that's what I love about this movie, and They Shall Not Grow Old, is that these are two documentaries. They were able just to take all this old footage and turn it into a cinematic event. And that's one of the best things about this movie, is that it just engrosses you in this mission. Now, like I said, the movie follows, their mission to the moon. So information-wise, if you're well versed in the Apollo 11 mission and know a lot about it, probably won't get anything new out of it. I did, because I'm not too well versed in the whole Apollo 11 mission, so there's a lot of stuff to me was holy crap, they did that. It's how the space shuttle worked, how everything somehow didn't fail, with how like I said, stuff had to be detached, and then stuff would be shuttles and stuff would reattach and all that kind of stuff, and how after they took off into the air, they had to do a couple rotations around the Earth to gain momentum, and then they were able to speed off to the moon, and all that kind of stuff fascinated the hell out of me. I do feel though, this is kind of what audiences thought First Man was gonna be. It's very focused on the mission and how they accomplished that, and how it was this huge achievement for us and everything, compared to First Man, which is kind of this more introspective, kind of a little more cold story about Neil Armstrong, which, like I've mentioned before, I love that movie, but this is kind of more of the kind of optimistic, uplifting story of the moon landing, and it works perfectly, especially coming out at this time for the 50th anniversary. Perfect timing. I'm surprised they didn't release this movie later on, though, in July, when the actual moon landing happened. Where they released it now, but it's a perfect movie to come out at this time. Perfect celebration of this historic landmark event that's just incredible. Like I said, like I loved this movie. I thought it was so well handled, so engaging. I like how the movie doesn't just cover the broad, spectrum of like their mission to the moon, like, and everything. It does cover some tiny details here and there that I really like, and also like immerses you in the era, in the world. Like, I love how they showed this one bit at the beginning that like was insane to me, that there's kind of like a gas leak like on the launching pad while they were like boarding the space shuttle, like while the astronauts were boarding the space shuttle, and it covers that little moment that was like, holy crap, like it just shows how dangerous this thing was, that they were fixing stuff for it right up to the last minutes. And also the way like a lot of the audio in the movie, like it doesn't just have like the important like mission stuff in the control room. You do hear some like small talk from like the people in the control room and stuff like that, which I thought was really cool. And I like how there's like one scene where it kind of shows the current like status of the US at the time, like in the day or so before the moon landing, like see what was going on in the news at the time. And I thought that was really fascinating, just immersing you in that world and in that era, what was going on at the time. I thought it was just, I love those little details, and that's what makes this kind of stand out too, is that just those little details that makes it just kind of more unique than just your typical like, oh, we had to do this, then we had to do this step, then they had to do this step, and then they got to the moon. It was like, oh, there's some tiny details that kind of like reel you in, which I thought was really well handled. I like how this movie gets pretty intense at times, which is pretty crazy given how it's, something that we all know the outcome of, and it's actual just footage from the events. It still gets pretty intense, like when they actually have to land the like craft onto the moon, and it does some very clever things with it, where how it has footage of them landing while you see kind of like the amount of fuel they're using, like off to the side, as kind of counting down how much fuel they have left. And you're just like, oh crap, come on guys, just land it. And you're like, but wait, I know what happens, It was so well handled. I love how it also have like the way it would count down from like the launches and stuff like that, which just like got you on the edge of your seat, just like, oh man, here we go. Like, it was so well handled. One of the things though I'm so disappointed though is that I wasn't able to see this movie in IMAX. From what I heard, this movie is friggin' amazing in IMAX, and from what I saw in the standard version, yeah, it probably is. Unfortunately, my local IMAX theater, the one that I always go to see movies in IMAX, didn't get it. So I wasn't able to see it. I was only able to see it in the standard one. I'm really hoping that it gets like an IMAX re-release, because it was only released on IMAX for like 1 week. And then it kind of just left, and then like it went to regular. So I hope it gets like an IMAX release maybe later on, closer to the actual anniversary date, because I would love to see this movie again. I want to see this movie again in general, but I would love to see it again in IMAX. That would be amazing. This is a movie I feel like was meant to be seen in IMAX, so I really hope I get that opportunity at some point. Also note the music in this movie was great too. Complemented the movie very well. I do say though, I have a couple problems. There's a couple moments here and there where the music kind of overpowers the audio. Like, I feel like it wasn't mixed as well, whereas like you have kind of the control room speaking, but the music kind of overpowers it, and I couldn't completely hear what they were saying in a couple moments here and there. I feel like I think could have been mixed a little bit better and put a little more emphasis on the actual audio than the music, because the audio itself is kind of like, a little bit hard to hear at times, because it has that kind of like older like quality where it's a little muffled, and so that kind of mixed with the music didn't mix quite well at some moments. But that being said, the music score is amazing. The music score is great, and yeah, just I don't know, I really like this documentary. I thought it was incredible. Great way to celebrate the 50th anniversary of this historic event. The way it kind of like goes through like each step. It goes through every major step that they took on their way to the moon, which I really liked. And I liked how it kind of like explained how they accomplished this mission and all the crazy things they had to do, like I said, to get to there, which I thought was very engaging. And also I liked that middle half where it kind of moves away from the kind of like the grand spectacle of like everybody watching the space shuttle taking off to kind of like a little more intimate stuff of like the astronauts like inside the shuttle on their way to the moon. You get to see a lot more of them, which I really like. It's cool like kind of getting to know these people a little bit more, getting to know Buzz Aldrin a little bit more and like that kind of stuff. I thought that was really fascinating, seeing all of that. It was just, yeah, fantastic documentary, so well put together, and just definitely worth checking out. It was amazing. I really like the what they're doing with documentaries lately, with this and They Shall Not Grow Old, which is another one I really liked. Just kind of like immersing you into these events and finding this footage and restoring it, and just kind of like doing these different takes on documentaries that aren't people talking about telling you what happened and stuff, but just showing you and just throwing you into it, essentially. You know, the whole middle half of this movie is you're there, you know, in the control room, like watching these guys try to help out the astronauts along the way, and then also you're in the space shuttle with Neil Armstrong and all that kind of stuff. It just throws you in there, and it's so good, so amazing. Again, that 70mm footage is just breathtakingly incredible. Like, I still can't believe how good it looks, and just all comes together for an amazing movie. I can't recommend it enough. So yeah, that's Apollo 11. Definitely worth checking out if you can. And yeah, that's about it for now. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.